Space nerds, I got a quick update for you on the next global event coming to Star Citizen in 4.2.1. This one's called the Second Life Resource Drive, and it is taking a bit of a step back from combat and including a little bit of mining and cargo hauling in it as well. It's a continuation of the B story that we saw start off with the collection missions earlier this year, and so in that same spirit, we're going to be doing some more resource collecting for our different corporations around the system. Before we dive into all the details though, interestingly with this event, I think worth noting is that it's being tied in with Imperator Addison quite a bit. And if you don't know who that is like the president person of the UEE, the head honcho. We actually elected her in 2021, and I think her term is 10 years, but the way that they're tying her into this narrative with her specific science focus, which is why people elected her when they did, I like that. Good touch, narrative. Now, like I said, this is not a sandbox activity. This is an event, and I think this is why they started to emphasize that more recently than they were back before. Global events are things like Xenothreat, Siege of Orison, or Jumptown. These are things that come and go. They'll generally stick around for 3 weeks, and then we won't see them for maybe a year, where they change in between getting the features updated that get added in that time. And then you have sandbox activities, things like the Hathor locations from 4.1 and the ASD facilities from 4.2. These are permanent locations. They're not going anywhere. So that's something that you can always do. What we're talking about today is a global event that will go away at some point. So you do kind of want to get involved in this pretty quickly when it does happen. I don't know how long it'll last, maybe a couple weeks or not. But that's something to look out for. So the missions you're going to be taking on for this, we've got mining, where you can just go out, find some resources, specifically the ones they're looking for, and bring them back in whatever value or haul that you can find. Literally, you can just go out and be mining a deposit that you found on your own, have a friend come and pick it up from you and turn it in, and then you get points. Next time your friend comes by to pick up more cargo, you take the cargo ship and they do the mining. You turn it in, get more points. This is pretty nice because it rewards people who know how to find minerals, and it rewards people obviously who like mining minerals. One of the biggest things this game is missing is that we don't have an economy that makes certain minerals have a reason to want to get them other than money. So having missions that specifically call for you to get a certain mineral is honestly making mining a lot better. We also have cargo hauling though, which is kind of obvious. This whole thing is based around cargo hauling, and it really is going to take different missions into account for this. We'll talk about the different types. Besides that, obviously there's still combat. You can still get into it, but it's mostly PvE focused. Although, to be honest, piracy will probably work out with this event as well. Let's talk about the contracts that you get sent on during this event though. There are several different types of contracts using the different gameplay we just talked about. Starting with combat, you will have a lot of PvE opportunities. First is a really straightforward one. You basically just get sent to a location to defend a ship, and then you get points towards the event. It's really straightforward, and it allows people who don't like cargo or don't have a cargo-focused ship to still get points towards the overall event. Speaking of the points, the way they're tracking this is really interesting. You have 4 teams that you can work for, one of each of the corporations in Stanton. As you work towards that ultimate goal of getting your team to win, you're also hitting milestones for yourself. So you're getting separate rewards towards your character, as well as a possible reward for your team. And each team is limited to each shard. So you're just worried about competing with the 600 other people in that shard. But these rewards will be tied to your account, so it's worth taking part in these. And that's why I think it's nice that even if you don't like cargo, you could do some PvE ship combat. On the FPS side, you can also get sent to some outlaw bases down on the ground where you'll find boxes scattered throughout. You have to take out the NPCs and then grab the boxes and take them back to the station. Pretty straightforward. Again, some logistics, some cargo hauling, some combat. Moving on from there, you can also just gather resources. Now, this is specifically telling you where you can go mining for certain resources, which I think, again, is great because more diversified gameplay. But there's no other real restrictions besides that. So I do think that this part of the mission could lead towards piracy, because all you have to do is go find raw ore. Now, once Maelstrom is in the game, Salvage will be able to take part in this. You'll be able to strip that material from a ship and turn it in for points. But mining and piracy are kind of hand in hand here with the possibilities. Now, there are plenty of locations to go. I don't think it's going to be common you do run into a pirate, but maybe take a buddy. In terms of cargo hauling, you got a few choices. First, you've got derelict ship recoveries. These are just sending you out to a derelict ship, maybe a cargo hauler or somebody who was supposed to be completing the cargo transfer but got destroyed. You're just picking up the boxes from their ship, taking them on to the destination, and getting your points. Then there are stolen cargo recoveries. These are the ones like I did with the FPS combat. Despite that, there is still a cargo hauling element to it, so I thought I'd mention it here. Finally, you have just basic cargo hauling missions, which basically just has you go from any of a huge number of locations back to the space station in hand. Now, there might be a little bit of a bottleneck at that main space station where everything's being turned in, but that is a big space station, and there should be security around there. On the other side of that equation, the amount of locations you're getting sent in this event for cargo hauling specifically, pretty large. So there is a good chance it's going to be hard to lock any specific location down to attack people. All this being said, we're still living in a universe where you can attack people, and security and reputation are still very far behind in keeping people safe. So I would suggest possibly taking a buddy with you, or just feeling out some of the shorter routes. We don't know how this is going to play out. I had no problems on the PTU, but going forward in live, it might be different. And I never talked about the introductory mission. In order to get into this whole event, you just have to run one mission for any of those 4 manufacturers. That mission is a 3 SCU delivery that pays you 100,000 credits. So they're not skimping out on making sure people are getting some level of reward for this. Now, this is all PTU. It could change, but this is what I've seen so far. And I think the plan overall here is to just make sure that people have a diverse way of getting into this event. And obviously, we're all kind of working together on it. Now, there is one thing that I think could be a problem here, and that is that you have progress for your whole team and progress for you. So there is teamwork being encouraged here, but when you go to a recovery of cargo and you get all those boxes and put them on your friend's ship for them to go turn in, you don't get the points towards your personal score. So there is a good amount of teamwork being emphasized here, but there is also the possibility that inter-team competition does lead to people turning on each other. We'll have to see how that goes. Let's all be, good people. Let's share a little bit. The rewards are actually pretty good too. You're getting some weapons that have just come in, some armor skins, and also skins for ships are getting handed out. The cool part about that is you also can work for any of the corporations at any time. You don't have to pick one and stick with it. So you could get all the skins for all of these different companies if you want, for some pretty cool in-game rewards that will be bound to your character, and you should be able to use in patches coming up, as long as the game doesn't delete that stuff. Ultimately, feels like a sandbox, timed, exclusive kind of global event that's focused on testing out resource gathering. It's testing out this new way of tracking players and progress across a shard to give teams an overall outlook on the system. This is the kind of thing that Aaron Roberts was talking about with the narrative way that systems would change based on what players did in that system. Are pirates expanding? Is there more cargo flowing through? Are the Vanduul invading? These are the progress bars and kinds of things that have to function for those sorts of events. So I'm glad to see them already testing them on this one. It's just good to know that whether you're a miner, a hauler, or even a combat enthusiast, you're going to have something to do in this one. To be honest, this feels like the kind of event people have been asking for a while, something that's a little open-ended, telling you to just find something in whatever way you can, and giving you a couple different options to do it, and then telling you to turn it in a certain place. This was like the sort of thing people were looking for when they introduced the cargo refactor, when we were talking about Blockade Runner, and even recently when we were looking at Supply or Die. We just wanted more locations to be able to go to. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking of this though, and how you're going to follow through on it. I'll keep trying to cover this as it gets closer to launch, and we'll be covering it on the gameplay channel as well. Thank you all for checking out this quick news update. Catch you in the next one.